Guys, while we're waiting for everyone to join, you can maybe send something to our chat saying, where are you coming from? What's your background? Maybe just put some questions that you would like to hear from our speakers today. Anything, just say hi. We will be happy to see some activity in the chat if you are here. So we are probably going to wait for another few minutes and then start, because we had more than 200 registrations on LinkedIn and a couple of hundreds, a couple of hundreds. That would be good.
Dozens.
Dozens, yeah.
49.
49, exactly. We have Holger, he's keeping the score. So 49 on Philadelphia. Wow, that's far. What time is it in Philadelphia right now? Netherlands. Jeroen, are you in Netherlands right now?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
You see, okay. Lunchtime, Philadelphia. Okay, not bad. It's 8 p.m. for me here in Dubai. Germany, Italy, Spain. That's beautiful. We have people from all over the globe. Hi, Carl, we can see you. That's great. Awesome background. You're also probably from Netherlands. We cannot hear you. You are muted.
It's Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow. It looks beautiful. Yeah. Wiesbaden, Germany. Wow, that's nice. Turkey. Mexico. Amazing. This is unbelievable. We really have the in European Legal Tech Association, right?
I don't know for the rest of you, but for me the connection
me
was
too.
cut. I couldn't hear what you just said.
Yeah, I also have
Susanna.
problems. Yeah. Something is wrong with Susanna's internet connection.
Am I back now or not yet?
Yeah. You're back.
Rotterdam, and today from Poland. Okay. We love Poland. Love every country, but it's just much more closer to where I'm from. I'm Ukrainian. Legal Harker is from Philly. That's nice. Augustine, drive safe. You are multitasking for sure. It's probably possible in Mexico.
Will take me just 3 minutes to arrive to the office.
Okay. Yeah, then we won't start. Like, we give you a couple of minutes. Drive safe. It's fine.
Excellent. Thank you.
But it's good to see people. Finland. Okay. So, shall we? Hi, Debbie. I like your lipstick. Welcome. Where are you joining us from? Oh, you're muted. Croatia. Debbie, you are muted. Yeah, here you go.
Thanks for the compliment on the lipstick. From the saddest, hottest spot in the world, from Israel.
Oh my God, how is everything? Tell us.
Very bad.
How are you feeling? Very bad.
Yeah. You're my distraction for the next hour.
Yeah, I don't know how it feels exactly, because it's always so much different, but we are in the war as well in Ukraine, and I certainly have somewhat an understanding of how it is, and I'm very sorry for what is happening. I'm wishing you best of luck, and of course the victory for Israel. Just stay strong.
I'm feeling the same about the Ukraine. So war is bad wherever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But thank you for joining. Thank you for finding actually the time and the courage, and this is amazing.
It's something that's on a normal day interests me immensely. At the moment, it feels a bit disjointed, but normally this is one of my pet subjects. So
we will try to be as useful as possible. Good. I think we have pretty good attendance list at this moment. So let us probably go forward. Let me introduce our distinguished guests today and who are speakers in the panel. My name is Susanna, and I'm going to be the lead of the panel. I'm going to ask questions. So we have also Holger here, who is managing our chat, and if anything, he can deal with some help on the background as well. So let's start from other women in our team, in our panel. Tiphanie Band, as a 24-year-old European woman, Tiphanie Brandt represents the next generation of legal professionals ready to navigate the 21st century's challenges. She combines software development skills with legal expertise, focusing on designing explainable artificial intelligence tools to enable human-driven performances. She aims to set up European standards to ensure long-term value creation in Europe. After studying data science and AI at Maastricht University in Holland and law at Sorbonne University at France, she joined the Swiss Exchange Strategic Team in February 2023. Welcome, Tiphanie.
Thank you very much, Susanna.
So we also have Zsolt Zadi. He is a lawyer and a legal informatics expert. He worked at Wolters Kluwer and other IT companies for 18 years and led legal tech and publishing projects. In 2013, he became a researcher at Hungarian Academy of Science. Since then, he earned a PhD and habilitated and taught in law and business schools. He is also an author of 3 books and more than 110 articles covering regulatory and practical aspects of AI, platforms, and legal technologies. Moreover, Zsolt shared with me in our discussion before this panel that actually his wife is a judge, and so they have a very powerhouse family of lawyers. And we are going to actually ask him about his experience and his wife's experience at the same time. So we've got one speaker for 2. And of course, we have Spritz. Hi, Zsolt. A trailblazer in legal innovation with over 25 years of experience. He's a founder of Noun, the legal innovation agency. I have to say, I really love the name. Noun is awesome. He drives innovation in legal departments and law firms. Jeroen's experience has been vital for major corporations like Friesland Campina, ABN AMRO, Nike, and Vodafone, guiding them through digital transformation. Jeroen is deeply involved in the legal tech space, which we are going to explore further in our questions, of course, and he played dual roles at Bluetick. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
An AI startup is both the team member as well as the investor. Notably, Bluetick was acquired by the esteemed publisher. Help me with the name. Lefebvre
Sarrut.
Thank you very much. That's a good French pronunciation that I don't have. Additionally, he served as an advisor to the renewed Belgian AI startup Henchman. His contribution to Dutch legal tech and ELTA highlights his dedication to advancing the legal technology landscape. And this is pretty much all I'm going to read for today. Welcome, very distinguished guests. And it's great to have you here. I see Augustine is in his office, so we can start. Barrett, pleasure meeting you. Where are you joining us from? Yeah, you are muted. Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Amsterdam joining.
Amsterdam, beautiful, great. So we will probably start with just explaining, and I'm going to just put the question on, and whoever is feeling like responding, please go ahead and start, and the other speakers would just add on to it. Let's maybe define some terms before we go into like the full discussion. Let's discuss what actually LLM models are and how they work and how they're being trained, what that data is required to train those models, and maybe even before AI, what LLMs are. Jeroen, I will start with you, if you don't mind.
It's always a big question to answer that, because yeah, I would say AI in general is a quite big proposition, and LLMs or generative AI, I call it Gen AI, is quite a newly part of that. We know Gen AI from ChatGPT, and it was around. It started in November last year, but the process in general, like generative AI, started in a paper, in a science paper in 2020. So isn't also that old. An LLM is not an intelligent database or something like that. There's mostly a misunderstanding, I would say. It's a language model in general, and how it works, that the model is predicting the next word in that sense. So if you ask a question to, for instance, ChatGPT, it predicts the next word. The problem in that sense is also it isn't always right in that direction. But
yeah, for this we'll probably discuss this. Yeah, this is a very broad question of hallucination and other things, but before we jump into that, I would probably want to show you one quick slide, just to maybe help us go. Can you see my screen? Not
No.
yet, probably. Yeah. It will help us.
I made you co-host, so now you can.
Yes.
So how it all started, Jeroen, you were just talking, and I wanted to show this visual here that, as you said, in 2019, and how it basically gone into where we are right now and what kind of options of the chats we currently have. And also maybe you can elaborate more, or any of you can elaborate more on the graph where the artificial intelligence and LLM models goes into very different broad fields of other things that they produce. So going from LLMs into artificial intelligence and specifically generative AI.
Yeah, but I can't see the models. Sorry for that. I don't see any. No.
It's showing me like you can see the screen. Not sure what you can see.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then, so maybe you can comment, or Tiphanie.
Yes, I think what's important to keep in mind is that the wording artificial intelligence is quite recent, in the sense that when I started my degree back in 2018, it was still called knowledge engineering. And so the school I attended within Maastricht University, the Department of Knowledge Engineering exists since the 50s. And in fact, the way it worked back in the days was you would get a human expert that's very, very good in his or her field, and you would have interview with that person. And you would try to extract the knowledge, the expertise of this person, and put it on paper and look for patterns. And what has evolved since the 50s is that we have now the capacity to digitalize a lot of this knowledge. And when you look at, for instance, Tesla and the self-driving car, before they appear today, they spent a couple years sampling and collecting this data on the road. So the car were filming the road and collecting this data that could later be used to train the AI. So I think what's important to keep in mind is all this is very grounded in human expertise. And when we look at the limitation later, a lot of the limitations, they start from this point exactly. So it's about knowledge. It's about human knowledge, digitalized and made accessible. And then it's about how do we transform this digital knowledge? What do we do with it? And these different AI models, techniques, there are various ways to, if you want, turn this knowledge into power, into insights. And if you look at it now from, let's say, the technical aspect, right, how it's built, because sometimes it's a bit magical, because the complexity, it's a complex. There's so many microscopic steps. And this is only possible because the libraries we use, the code libraries, they went from what we call very low level, so type of language such as COBOL or even C++, to nowadays Python. And you don't need to be an extremely talented computer engineer to write in Python or to interact with this technology. And so this is what happened. We went from knowledge engineering that was from brain to paper, from paper to digital, and today it's accessible to anyone. And I think that's a good start for the discussion. It's thinking, okay, we're democratizing these tools, and now it goes beyond, self-driving car and so on. It's coming to legal, which is a specific set of knowledge. What do we want to do with this? What can we do with this? But most importantly, what do we want to do with this? Because you're presented with options. I think there's a bit of panic or maybe excitement, but a lot of emotions. So I think today is a good opportunity for us to think, actually, what does it mean for me? And what do I want to do with it? What can we build?
Yeah, I think we should maybe ask the question before we think of what we want and what we do with it, what we can do and what are the options, because many of us are on the very initial stages of understanding what LLMs are and what generative predictive text like ChatGPT is and how to use that tool that is already existing. So maybe, Arnold, you can share with us some practical examples from education or judicial systems that are already using those tools that are existing and publicly available. And from there, we will maybe get a sense of what can be done for the legal industry and how we can use and maybe some of the knowledge from there to legal.
Okay. First, to start with that, these systems are generating texts, and they are generating text from other texts. So it's a text-to-text thing, which means that actually they don't have an access to the reality, and that's a big limitation for that for the system. So if we are talking about judicial procedures, actually everyone is afraid of that they can substitute the lawyers in a sense. But actually, what I'm telling is that law. And this is a little bit philosophical, just to start with, and I won't be very philosophical, but it's a good start that they don't have an access to the reality, and actually that's a limitation for these systems. And we will be talking about the hallucinations of this system, and that they are hallucinating all kind of, for example, cases that are not existing. Probably the New York lawyer who prepared a motion, and then it turned out that the ChatGPT, he used the ChatGPT for generating the text. And actually, the ChatGPT inserted all kind of fake, non-existing cases to the text, because it's a text generation tool, generating tool. And everywhere where there is text, and of course, the lawyer's work is mainly about generating text, it can be used. So I just bring two examples. The one is the document assembly. You might know that document assembly is the legal text. It's an old, actually it's an old technology that has been already started in the 80s. And it was in the beginning, it was a very, very simple technology because it contained only databases and then rules and samples and sample documents. And then from the databases, you can, after a consultation period, it generated quite good documents. You can find a whole bunch of these document assembly technologies. Now, I think that the ChatGPT, and there are attempts, and you can find systems that the ChatGPT type of, so the LLMs can revolutionize the document assembly in a way, because it is not entirely rule-based. It's their advantage, but its limitations also there because of this, because there are limits. So it can be a lot more creative. So you can, and you can find also a whole bunch of literature experiments that lawyers started to experiment with the ChatGPT-4 and other large language models, and it can write quite good contracts. But you have to be very careful with this because, for example, it doesn't know the local legal system. So if you are not prompting it exactly, then it can insert content that is very far from the reality. The other thing is, when we were talking about the examples of courts, at the courts, it can be used for two purposes, and I think both are very important. The one is that internally it can increase the efficiency, so which means that it can streamline processes. It can make auto summaries. That's again a very old branch of legal tech, that preparing automatic summaries from documents. It can make anomaly detection, which is again in the LLM. The LLMs are working based on patterns, pattern recognition, that they are recognizing patterns within the data. So, for example, it can recognize patterns in the witness, in the expert opinions, and contradictions within the evidence, and it can also transcripting. So that's one part of the story, increasing efficiency. The other part of the story is the access to justice, and I think the access to justice is more important than the efficiency increase, because what I think is that where the LLMs will revolutionize the law and the legal work and also the legal tech is this field, that it can help clients to preliminary evaluating the legal problem. It can help them to explain for example, that what is needed for the winning. It can explain them what evidences should be provided, the possible time span of the procedure, and it can offer also forms to be filled. So it can really democratize the access to justice, and if you try it, and I tried also in Hungarian language, but also other languages, to ask questions, and it can answer in a very understandable, very understandable way, also for laymen. So that's, I think, in the next near future, it can revolutionize the access to justice. So that's very important. Well, yeah, the other part, just a few words about, because you asked me about the universities. The higher education, a totally different story, or I would say that it's not totally different from the justice system, but it caused that the LLMs caused a huge crisis in universities. There are everywhere around the globe, there are crisis meetings, because these LLMs, the modern universities, and especially this mass education, what is going on in the universities based on essay writing. So the students have to provide essays time to time, and that's the main measurement tool in the universities. And the ChatGPT, emergence of the ChatGPT just really caused a huge crisis, because it cannot be used anymore. And I think the higher education sector will be the first sector which should rethink entirely, not just that how they measure the performance within the university, but also how will they integrate the ChatGPT into their processes, and what is the role of the university itself. If we give a knowledge that can be provided by the ChatGPT, then it makes no sense. Then the university is not good for anything. So we have to rethink our purpose, the purpose of the university, and of course the purpose of the legal education as well. Because within the legal education, the essay writing was really a very important part of the whole process. So that's for beginning.
Yeah, I think I would probably add my few points to maybe hallucination part, because you mentioned this a couple of times. And just to clarify, those ChatGPT, like as an example, but in general, GPT predictive models were built to please. So whenever we call something a hallucination, we have to keep in mind that by design, the systems were there to just answer every single time. And it's like speaking with the person that cannot say no, or I don't know. They will come up with answers that may not be there. So this is a normal process. This was made by design of these tools to act like this. So in what we have to do, as Zot absolutely rightly put, we have to learn how to use the tool and what it is and what it is not in order to use this tool correctly, to get the right answers, to get the better responses. So many people I've seen use it for like as a search tool, or as something that because of the way it communicates with us, it looks like a human. We treat it like a human and think like it is willingly trying to lie to us, which is not. Again, just to keep this in mind, and these models are there to help maybe you with some problems, and then the algorithms of how you can train the system, or how you can ask the questions correctly or frame your prompts will help you get the results that maybe will help you with whatever the research or writing or whatever you're trying to do. Let's maybe talk a little more about those tools that are currently offering an enterprise packages or enterprise solutions, which are allowing companies, because many of us here are probably lawyers within law firms, that are going to have the algorithms work for the law firm, but the systems will not be trained on the data that we put in. We are all very concerned about the security of our information, of the privacy, and so on. So would you like to share, any of you, your experience? Have you seen the tools? Yeah, Karen, please.
It's still in the beginning. I would say even the enterprise versions are not that clear about privacy, I would say. So the better way is use an open source model and put it on your laptop or your computer. For instance, there are a lot of models out there like GPT-4All or Llama or MLL Studio, where you can put the whole model on your computer, so it doesn't bring anything to for instance, OpenAI. Maybe also iterating on your hallucinating part. I think that's a very important rule. Everybody has to think about is when you're asking ChatGPT, for instance, a question, you have to know the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Because then you can figure out if it's hallucinating or not. So that's a very important rule. I learned that from a US AI professor, and he told me that. So I think, and it's very logic to say that. So that would be important. And I wouldn't say all the models currently out there, if they are secure. The only way is using open source models currently and put them locally on your computer.
I also would like to react to this mention, right? So the limits of the model. And because we are not only on the receiving side, right? I understand legal technology also contains people that have the ambition to develop legal tech software. And for the moment, there is currently sort of a monopoly on this large language model, but I hope more and more people will take over the knowledge and start developing their own tools, powered maybe with their own IT infrastructure. So it's important to say, in terms of standards, we do not have to settle for the current standards. It is not okay that these are the current requirements, that you need to know the answer to your own question. So for instance, we could very well imagine that in a near future, these large language models also provide you with a clear estimate. That's my answer, and I'm 80% sure. And then it's for you to decide, is 80% enough? Am I going to double check that maybe? Because it's not that hard to output. The information is out there. It is just not a feature. It is designed not to give you this information currently. But what I'm saying is it should be giving that information. Additionally, we have to keep personalizing these tools. So for the moment, ChatGPT is built like this. It's a chat, there is a bar, you enter your query. Again, we don't have to settle for these type of queries, and we have to keep developing. So as you were saying, in Hungarian language, in French language, in Dutch, and we have to be creative and daring. So don't settle for the current standards, and push for what you need, especially in legal, because we need to maintain the respectability of the legal profession. We need the trust of the client. Currently, I'm working in the financial industry, which is an industry entirely relying on trust. So we need to maintain these top quality standards. And if it's not there yet, it's fine. Let's build it. That's my point. We can ask for more.
Maybe respond to that, Tiphanie. It's an interesting thought about the 80%, so putting the rating in. But a lawyer will never settle with 80% because he's learned to focus on that 100%, and I would say that's quite a difficult problem. I had a startup before which we sold to Lefebvre Sarrut, and it was a search algorithm, so it understands the context of legal language, and it helped them to find jurisprudence everywhere. The problem is, where is it coming from? And the problem, it was based on NLP, not on Gen AI. The problem there was, what made the decision in showing me this kind of jurisprudence? It's a black box principle, so it's quite difficult for lawyers to handle that. So if you're using keyword search, for instance, okay, that word is coming back in my text. In AI, especially in NLP, it's not possible. So that's also things we have to develop in using it in the legal industry, I would say.
Just one more remark. I think that the future will be that these models will be combined with other types of AI, for example, like very simple rule-based declarative models. Because in certain cases, if you have a targeted search or a very simple question, then there's no need for large language models to generate a text in such a complicated way. It should be answered in a very simple way. So that's, I think, it happened with, for example, in things like math examples and all, so other domains. And I think domain-specific solutions which are not based always on LLMs will be the solution. So there will be a combination of, in the future, there will be a combination of different kinds of machine learning methods, and that will be, I think, the solution to overcome this hallucination tendency.
I agree, and on the same side, also prompting will change. You're already seeing that. The prompting is the first iteration in new technology like Gen AI in asking questions, where you see more and more intelligent prompting now, prompting management. It's like UX, how you approach Gen AI, and you will see that will change. OpenAI will come now with voice and sounds, so you can already use talking to your ChatGPT app and asking your question. So it will change in that sense.
I think something we all have to be very careful about is also in terms of intellectual property, which data you feed in, if it's yours or not. And if it's yours, make sure that if this is used to train the model, right? And Jerome was proposing this local LLM solution. Maybe you can also monetize. Maybe that your legal firm has valuable data, and maybe you can also play with that. So don't be passive and use everything you can. It's not just the engine, it's also all the data you feed to it. And that's very valuable.
I agree. And maybe, oh, sorry, Susanna.
No, go ahead.
An interesting project I'm monitoring is maybe a lot of you heard about that, is the Kelvin project from Daniel Katz in the US, which what he did there is he created a generic LLM for the legal industry. And you see a lot of projects of the large law firms in the US creating bots on that side, and testing and experimenting the elements in legal. That would be a very interesting approach also for Europe, because it's not quite usable for Europe. I would say it's the same as the traditional ChatGPT model, which is trained mostly on 60% of US data, which it's again difficult to handle here in Europe. So that would be an interesting approach for Europe to especially for the universities maybe to take that at hand in creating more generic models for the European market and also in the different language which there are. So that will be an interesting approach.
He was my professor at Hamburg University of Law, serious law school. And this summer, he also shared this tool with us. And he was also a part of the team, Daniel Katz, of case text. So while we were looking at case text, many of you probably heard the big acquisition by Thomson Reuters and how they work with it. This is a good example of how startups starting out and doing something that is intuitive can actually become quite big of a player in the market and can be exposed to big companies and again, a big number of data because Thomson Reuters does have a lot of data. So what do you think from the startup perspective, Jeroen? Where are those startups right now? Are they working on standalone solutions or on solutions that are going to be a part of like Microsoft Suite or something else? Like, where do you see this is going?
They're struggling, I would say, because when you look at the legal tech market, it in general struggling. Sal Raymond is also there. He can tell us more about this, but the problem is currently a lot of budget is on hold because of the AI development. So all general legal tech vendors are struggling with that. And yeah, what I was at Legal Geek last week, which was, as always, very good. But when you look at the vendors there, they have Gen AI. Every vendor has Gen AI, and they're based on the OpenAI API, which is not that interesting, I would say. Sometimes it is, but mostly not. And you don't see any developments like Daniel Katz did with his LLM approach, which is much more fundamental and innovative than taking an API and use it in your application. Sometimes it's interesting and creating value, but to be honest, mostly it's more the marketing effect. Look, I'm using GPT and it's great, but it doesn't solve any problem out there, I would say.
I would like to react on this one, because I think the particularity of Daniel Katz's team is that they had top-notch computer scientists. And I forgot the name of the lab exactly, but that's what made a difference. And it's the case for me. I studied both. I try to get the knowledge of both fields so I can not be necessarily the best. You know, I'm not the best programmer. They're much better than me, and they're passionate lawyers that are also better than me. But to have a feet in, you know, both feet in the ground and really understand what's happening and enable the communication between both fields of expertise. And I know university will start offering more and more of these degrees. When I started, it did not exist. I really had to be enrolled in Paris and in Maastricht, and there was no special timing, no special exception, nothing. So it was really tough. But what I mean is lawyers have to, you know, start going out there and really make sure they understand. Maybe you need to learn about math, maybe you need to learn about statistics, because it's at the end of the day, it's very basic statistics, what's behind AI. And you don't need to master it, but if you understand, it will give you this grip, and you will be able to distinguish between the noise, right? And the marketing and the buzz and the value, the real value within. So whether, I know people listening here, if you're already practicing for years or if you're getting started, I think you will reduce your fear and you will gain confidence if you keep learning in that direction. And I think you should keep learning until you feel confident that you understand what's happening. So it's good you're here today, but then you need to go grab a book and maybe take extra hours and learn until you're confident, because that's when you will be able to make the right choices for yourself and for your organization.
Just one short remark that we are talking about the LLMs, of course, and that the topic of this discussion is LLMs. But I find it quite funny that everybody wants to now work with this or use this tool. Actually, those who are not reached a previous stage, like automatization or understanding what is the data within the firm, within the law firm, within the organization, big organization. So I find it very funny when any kind of judicial organization wants to introduce the LLMs, though they do not even know what is digitized and what's not. I mean, you have to keep the sequence. First, you have to know that what kind of digital assets you have, what kind of data you have, what can be solved with a lot more simple tools like simple automatization, document automatization. So I think it makes no sense to jump directly to LLMs, because LLMs cannot solve any kind of problem, and other tools and other solutions can solve a lot more easy way, simple way, sometimes problems. So that's just my advice to anyone who wants to
100%.
jump directly to LLMs, to using the LLMs.
I actually wanted to show to the point of I wanted to show one slide. I don't know where it is. It's a joke, obviously, because you need to crack a joke over there when it's all so serious and we're all concerned and we are all lawyers and and suit and tie, and we're talking about securities, but at the same time we still have to remember that most of the law firms right now do have paper documents in place, right? So they still have those paper files and everything is there, but then they still like saying that they're have so much concern about the security and the levels of security of their data with the coming technology like LLMs and AI and all other kind of things. So before we jump into like actual solution and building their solution, which again, I really think that law firms are not built as startups and they will not be able to, keep up with the pace and build the tangible solutions and be able to grow them themselves. It's easier and much faster and probably much more convenient to start with off-shelf products, right? So, and then build up from there and try to customize them and work at least on the minimum level. Because before, I remember when I was working with law firms and advising them on technological advanced processes and workflows, we were jumping straight away into technologies and solutions. And sometimes what they need is the actual tweak in the processes rather than actual technology over there. So it just, you're changing up people, you're changing up some things around and it works just fine. The same with AI. And I think our speakers were very straightforward into telling you what are the limitations. And I really want to shift our focus to positive things. Like, what are the things that you think will change legal profession? Law firms as a business, not law firms as a practice of law, but law firms as a business. And how do you think we can actually make our lives better with solutions like ChatGPT and others?
If I can respond to that, I would advise, and maybe also saying that, Susanna, look at a lot of general tools based on AI are out there. A lot of tools like ChatDoc, for instance, or Mac Whisper, or Liquid Text. Those are tools that are using GPT in a very good way. And for instance, if you have a document which don't have any risky data in it, upload it, and you can talk with your document, or say create summaries, or create a presentation from it. And so you get more used to using those kind of tools. And they're not typical legal tech tools, but in general tools.
Exactly.
Why
That's a good point, right? Most of the people that I've asked, the first tool that they've used was not actually ChatGPT or any other. The first tool that they used and being exposed to AI was Grammarly, because it was already there, and most of the companies are now shifting to the enterprise packages, and it includes having ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but the writing help, right? And so this was the first exposure when they can, improve their writing, help with day-to-day tasks, and they actually understood how to deal with it. So it's not legal at all, but it helps on a daily basis. It really actually helped save a lot of time in writing, in checking the spellings, and actually writing an email when you are angry and then rewriting it to sound friendly and all that kind of stuff, which is fun, but at the same time useful. So you're right. I would look for solutions.
For me, I hope the best outcome could be it brings us back to the essence of legal advice, which is serving the client and delivering top quality. Because most of the time when people get involved in any kind of legal trouble, for us, maybe it becomes a technical problem to solve, but for them, usually it comes with a lot of emotion. It's hard to keep on living because it's expensive, on the side. It takes part of your mind, and you try to outsource that to your lawyer or your legal advice. But hopefully, if these new technology can help lawyers work faster while maintaining quality, or maybe even increasing the quality of the legal advice, I hope that we can focus on the psychological aspect of this advice. So it's not true for every domain, right? But for instance, a divorce lawyer or family lawyers, they deal with issues that are essentially, sentimental. And I hope, at least that's my very personal view, we can focus on that, and we can really support people while democratizing access to this solution. I think it's a strong example, but for me in France, I'm extremely lucky. We have an incredible legal system that I think is pretty open, which means whatever happens, you're sort of covered. But I heard, for instance, that some medical litigation in the US can lead someone to ruin, financial ruin. And that's not okay. The access to justice should not cause you to be financially ruined, So while you're trying to solve a problem, you're digging another one. And I hope this can be avoided with the help of these technologies.
Yeah.
I would say access to justice. I would say access to justice is a problem in every country, and it will stay a problem also. And AI will not solve that. It will help, but you have to also create a culture change on the lawyer side, especially when you look at lawyers who are doing that part of work in the access to justice part. Mostly there are solo entrepreneurs, very small, don't have any money. There's a lot of pressure on them, and then we ask them, okay, go use AI. They have difficulties using their computer, and AI is much more difficult for them. So, but what I see here in the Netherlands also, the government is looking into that, and I play a very small role in that also. So it will finally get there, but it will took a lot of years. And I'm in the innovation industry for legal, preaching now for 15 years that lawyers should use technology more, not even AI, but using technology more. It was always a difficult case, and it will not change because we now using AI. In the beginning, it's fun, but after that, it will slow down, I would say. I'm a little bit pessimistic on that side.
I disagree with you because as a 24 years old, again, I think it will come with the training. I think that legal training, and this is what Zult was mentioning about university, the way young lawyers are trained is gonna change to adapt to this new reality. And therefore, I agree, it was a problem in the past, but I'm confident it will evolve faster. I don't think it will take 15 years. I don't think so. I think maybe 5, 6, and these new tools will become daily business.
Yeah, but I think what the main issue is, and also what Jeroen is saying, is why it is so hard to innovate in this industry. That has to do with that there is no need to innovate in this industry. So there's no burning platform, so nobody needs to change its business model. And for me, only being 6 years in this industry, I was quite surprised how digital illiterate this industry is. For me, it is clear that it is an industry without a passion for change and without a burning platform. And for the first time in 6 years, with this technology, I have people at my desk saying, what are we going to do? And this is the first time in 6 years that people are sort of saying, this could be huge. Yes, we have done all kinds of pilots, and we worked with IBM Watson and all other stuff. And it was interesting to work with Kira.
Frozen.
Very disappeared for me.
And yeah,
Yep.
because of Kira, I think. But
Yeah. Kira just stopped the whole conversation.
Can I
Jolt,
make
yes.
one
Jolt, please.
remark?
Yes.
For that, I read I think in an OECD material that actually what is the legal industry on a worldwide scale, it's a very tiny industry. So innovation capital is not going to that direction. For example, the financial sector is representing something like 20% of the GDP of the world, while the legal industry is representing something like 1%. Even in the US, it's just 2%. So that's one part of the story. That is the capital is not flowing into the legal industry. And another remark is it's just a food for thought, because we are always talking about the future of law, that how it will look like and how it. There is a philosophical. There was a theory a few years ago before the ChatGPT that actually law is going to that direction, that the rules will be embedded into codes, and rules will be embedded. Like, for example, when we are on a platform, actually we are the behavior control. What we are doing is directed by software. So when we are talking about ChatGPT, we think that, okay, it will be somehow that the law will be language-based and document-based. It will remain document-based, but the documents will be generated by LLMs. But what if not? What if the law will be not document and language-based anymore, but it will be, the rules will be embedded into codes, and the behavior control will be done by these structures. It's just a food for thought. So what I'm telling is that we just try to imagine a future, but probably the future will be totally different.
Exactly. So to pick up your thoughts on this, can you also answer the question, how about ethical implications? Like, what about ethics in the question of AI?
Yeah, it's the ethics of AI is a topic that's going on for like more than from the mid-10s. It's a very hot topic, and especially there are a few fields where it's really pressing. One is the bias problem. We all know that, the algorithmic bias, that if the data is biased, then the result will be biased, and we can see it also in the case of the large language models, and in the case of law, that's a very pressing important problem. And the other is the explainability. And also partly that is in connection with, for example, the citation problem that is existing in LLMs, that they can give a good answer, at least in Hungarian law, they can give a quite good answer, but actually the citations, not just the cases, but also the legislation, the citations to legislation is just not good. They are sometimes hallucinating new laws, and sometimes they are giving bad citations. So the explainability problem is a huge problem, and that remains in the case of the LLMs. How can you explain that? Where is this information from? How could you explain that your answer is right? So that's a huge. I think that these are the two things that and of course privacy problems, which has connection, of course, with the ethical problems. Yeah. I don't know what.
And to add to that, data is a problem.
Yeah.
Because there's another lot of legal
data. I really
data.
hope you will put this point on. Can you elaborate on that, please?
I would say that it's one of the biggest problems. If you don't have any data, the IQ of a language model or AI in general is zero. So especially in the legal market, there's not a lot of open data. Yeah, when you look at jurisprudence, there is. But for instance, when I compare to the Netherlands, only 5 to 6% of all data is published in the Netherlands of all jurisprudence.
Oh yeah.
Which
like in Hungary.
It's the same, yeah, and I've heard from Germany the same also. And so I was in a think tank of the government here in the Netherlands with the minister also, and we talked about AI and what do you need from the government? I said, yeah, data. That's the only thing. We have to have good data. So we can build, for instance, what Daniel Katz did with Kelvin. We could do that in the Netherlands or in Europe, I would say, and then we can learn and experiment and creating better quality of AI. And I would say that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, there are these systems, which is the legal analytics systems in the US, which are making like judge profiles and all these things. And it's simply, you cannot do it in the continent and in Europe because you don't have data. In the US, even the dockets, so all the documents of the processes are on the pacer, so they have data, we don't have it. And not just because not all the judicial decisions are published, but also that the dockets are not open. So the granular data down there, expert opinions and everything is not available. So therefore, Lex Machina can be good in a judge profiling, while in Europe that's just impossible to do.
Yeah,
on that side, Daniel Katz started also. He started on the profiling part, and it's an ethical, difficult question here on the continental part. So which is good, that it's the case. But Bert, you want to say something?
Yeah, I hear a lot of stuff that what is not possible. We did already our first pilot with Gen AI. And we see a lot of opportunities, and maybe less in the litigation practice, but more in the transaction practice. And we see a lot of potential there. And there is not, let's say, the problem that you need to have these third-party paid content to connect to your solution, Gen AI solution. But you can already start working with that Gen AI solution, doing multiple document Q&A, all kinds of use cases are possible. So we see a lot of potential there. We see a lot of potential connecting the Gen AI to our document management system. So for us, it's not like we are looking in what is not possible, but we see already, also based on the pilot, we see huge benefits there. And I would say, my experience, yes, lawyers are always looking for the 100% right answer, but you don't get that from your junior lawyer too. And there's a reason why Microsoft is calling their generic solution Copilot. It is assisting you, and it's not driving the car, it is helping you to drive the car. So that's also our approach to that. So we start and we are going to stop discussing, and we are going to invest money in this. And we are also not developing solutions because I think the legal industry, or let's say law firms, are not very good software developers, in my opinion. And if you, that's why I posted all this stuff into the chat. If you see what you need to do your own LLM stuff, then you quickly decide to stop doing that and just go for the commercial off-the-shelf package.
Yeah. Thank you, Bert. I'm so sorry. I would have to, this is the final couple of minutes of our webinar today. I'm particularly grateful to all the attendants. You were staying with us. You are very active on the chat. I was trying to pick up all the questions that you were putting in there. You have some really amazing comments. I would love this conversation to go forward with access to justice. Unfortunately, we didn't touch this too much, and I really hope that our speakers can give us some final words of wisdom. What you want one takeaway from this webinar be for our participants, and we would have to close the webinar for today. Tiphanie, let's start.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. My final words of wisdom is invest in yourself. Keep investing in yourself, in your education, until you get that confidence. Until you feel confident enough to take these decisions and navigate this new environment. Be confident, because it's the only way out. Now it's here, so you got to learn how to navigate that. But you can do it, so keep investing in yourself, and that's it.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
It's hard to. I speak to myself. Okay, we have to change. I mean, because now I teach in law school, so all of my and so we have to radically change the way how we teach the law students and the law we're teaching to them. That's my primary point here. And thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed the conversation very much.
Me too. And Jerome, so your words are going to be the final, so go ahead.
Ooh, that's a burden. Nah, it's quite easy, and that's what I'm shouting out for many years now. Experiment. Take and it's difficult for lawyers because they risk avert, and experiment is not in that vocabulary, but experiment, and I agree with Bert. Also, try it out. I'm a techno optimist, and it's easy for me to say, but we have to try it and feel what the possibilities are. And there are many possibilities, I would say, especially when you look at the data of law firms themselves. For instance, the example of Bert looking at the document management systems. That is quite interesting, but on the other side, it's also quite difficult in the suppliers who are out there currently. So look also in the open source field. There's a lot of interesting projects out there, and keep an open mind to the tools who are out there also, and try that. And mostly they're quite cheap, so try that out. But in general, I would say experiment and create your own opinion about this, and don't listen too much like our so-called experts, I would say.
Nice. Us being today, or you maybe rather, being the experts of today's talk, thank you for sharing your knowledge and being so kind and not saying that we all are dead and everything is over, which I've heard. And at some of the webinars, they were saying like, oh, the legal profession is over. We all just have to, pack and go. And there are other things saying that, okay, now everything is changing. So we were trying to keep it in the middle, and we're trying to be positive. So I hope you get some, inspiration, hopefully, from this talk. Keep reaching out to our speakers on LinkedIn. Probably they are available. Are you?
Yeah.
Will
yes,
you?
of course. Yeah. Feel free to reach out.
Sure.
So LinkedIn. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out. We will try. We see that this was very popular. We will try and organize the event with Uwe Iqbal, who was not being able to be here today because he's not feeling well. So we would have to reschedule and make another round of panel discussion in the same topic probably, but sometime sooner. So keep us in mind. We will be posting on the news sooner or later. Have a wonderful evening or day whenever you are. If Israel, Diba, you probably left already. Stay safe, everyone. In this uncertain times, this is the only thing that I can actually wish for you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in touch. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.